welcome into this Dab, also known as the Silenced Lesbian. If this is your first time here, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't ever miss a beat. Ooh, y'all, I'm gonna dive right in. Listen, your girl done got blocked and banned by none other than Lesbian Herstory Archives. I knew there was an issue back, it was about 2 years ago. I was trying to plan a dyke march, and I had reached out to them telling them like, hey, I was looking for resources. I wanted to do a dyke march. I told them I was in Florida, and they're like, oh my God, it's so great. You guys need all the help you can get. And I was like, slay. I told them it was going to be an exclusive same-sex march, and it was like, oh, we can't help with that, honey. We can't help with that. So it's not all that surprising. I'm just so shocked that they refuse to allow lesbian discourse. I wrote, we are calling on Lesbian Herstories to return to its original mission, preserving, documenting, and celebrating the history of same-sex attracted women. As lesbians, we are deeply concerned that an organization created to honor lesbian history is no longer representing the voices, experiences, and interests of homosexual women. Instead of centering lesbian reality, it has increasingly embraced ideas that erase the meaning of same-sex attraction and redefine lesbianism beyond recognition. The women who fought for our rights, built our organizations, created our spaces, and documented our stories deserve to have their legacy protected, not rewritten. We are calling for Lesbian Herstories to listen to lesbian elders, to recenter same-sex attracted women and restore its commitment to preserving lesbian history without erasing the realities of homosexuality. Now, they're on this mission, y'all, that they're claiming that it's always been the opposite sex lesbians. There's always been males that are homosexual females. Now, I know of one person that they had that was inclusive, and Daughters of Belides, and there was a lot of people that were not in agreement with this. Speaking of not a lot of people that are in agreement, let's dive in a little bit into the actual history.
In 1974, a small group of lesbian women in New York recognized a problem that many people weren't talking about. Lesbian history was disappearing. The stories of lesbian women were rarely preserved by universities, museums, libraries, or historical institutions. And personal letters were thrown away, photographs were hidden, diaries were destroyed. Relationships between women were erased from family histories. The lives of lesbian women were often left out of the historic record completely. A group of lesbian feminists decided that had to change. Among the most prominent founders were Joan Nessel and Deborah Eldo, who, along with other women in the lesbian feminist movement, established what would become the Lesbian Herstory Archives. The archives began modestly in Joan Nessel's apartment in New York City. There were no large grants, no corporate backing, no major institutions. Instead, there was a commitment to preserving the history of lesbian women by collecting the materials that documented their lives. The founders believed that lesbian history belonged to the community itself. They wanted to preserve not only the stories of famous activists and public figures, but also the experiences of ordinary women. Love letters, journals, photographs, newsletters, flyers, books, oral histories, and personal papers all became part of the growing collection. The mission of the Lesbian Herstory Archives was straightforward: to collect, preserve, and make accessible materials by and about lesbian women so the future generations would know their history. At the time, when lesbian lives were often ignored, hidden, or misunderstood, the archives served as a place where lesbian women could document their own experiences and ensure that those stories would not be lost. What started as a grassroots community project eventually grew into one of the world's largest collection of lesbian historical materials. The archives was founded on a simple but powerful belief: if lesbian women did not preserve their own history, no one else would do it for them. That belief became the foundation of Lesbian Herstory Archives and helped shape one of the most significant lesbian historical preservation projects ever created.
And now we fast forward to where we are in the present time. Joy and salutations. So it brings me to where we are today. Why is it that the Lesbian Herstories Archives blocked me? Well, guys, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because I went onto their Instagram and started discussing with people that they were not homosexuals. There was all these trans women going, oh my gosh, I feel so validated now in my homosexuality. I'm like, you're never going to be valid as a homosexual. Like, let me just keep it 100 with you, baby cakes. Like, the reality is you're a male. You are opposite sex attracted before you medicalized. You're still opposite sex attracted even after you've medicalized. The reality is you're not a homosexual. Now, they'd rather stick to their inclusivity than actually allow lesbian discourse. So I went on a lot of different comments, right? We have things like trans lesbian history then, now, and always. I'm like, what? What you mean? Trans lesbian history then, now, and always. What is that? What is trans lesbian history? You mean trans men that are lesbians? Like, I don't understand. What is this? Thank you so much for saying this and acknowledging how ostracizing it can feel as a trans lesbian. In both society at large and among exclusive lesbian groups, I love you all and I appreciate all my sisters. What is happening? So all I was doing, right? All I'm doing is counteracting the dumb comments from males that are claiming that they're homosexual females. And instead of the organization that protects lesbian voices, what do? They silence me. Now, I wasn't the only one in there. There were several of us in there that were commenting, and they literally blocked us. Imagine being a pro-lesbian org, right? And then blocking lesbians who challenge your ideologies now. This is not what Lesbian Herstories is here for. Lesbian Herstories is to gather and collect the history of homosexual women, not males that appropriate homosexuality. Now, the reality is, Lesbian Herstories is the one that put up there, right, that they are, that they are trans inclusionary, that they support trans lesbians, and they've always supported the trans lesbian. Well, then you don't support us homosexuals. If you believe that the opposite sex can opt in to my same-sex attraction, then you're not my community, you're an op. Now, that's what they've become. So, my lesbian, gays, and bisexuals, it looks like we have a campaign on our hands. It seems to me that we need to go ahead and give some outreach. Write some emails, perhaps make some videos, maybe show up at their establishment with signs. Bring it back to protesting, direct action. Because us as lesbians should be able to have a say in our organizations and how they're ran. See, the reality is, to me, these people are unfit to run this organization. They don't have the wants, right? They don't have the desires to protect the same-sex community. I would much rather see a homosexual woman in charge, right? That actually cares about the community. So, yeah, Lesbian Herstories thinks it's totally fine. It's perfectly acceptable for males to be homosexual females. So I just want Lesbian Herstories, I just want you to know that this is what you support.
Honestly, huge shout out to the trans lesbians out there. Do you know how much of a bad bitch you have to be to go from a cis straight man to being a trans lesbian? Like, boom, 3 extra overlapping layers of marginalization slapped on like that. Like, tutorial to hard mode, nothing in between. Like, that's really fucking hardcore. Also, they're so pretty.
You're so pretty. You've done nothing. You're still a heterosexual male. You will never be a homosexual female, no matter if you change the secondary sex characteristics of your body. You are still going to be a heterosexual. Everybody gets to come. You know what, though? Even this person gets to come. It's not a strap. It's your, okay? It's not a strap. It's your, why? What? Where is this acceptable? This is so rapey. Lesbians do not want male genitalia. We don't want to engage sexually with male genitalia. But again, Lesbian Herstories, this is what you guys support. You support males appropriating my same-sex attraction. But you see here, I literally confronted Dyke TV. Dyke TV was on there. Y'all remember Dyke TV in the 90s? It was a groundbreaking television production studio. They used to have Dyke TV, Dyke Power, the Dyke Marches were live. Dyke TV covered the AIDS movement. Like, I am just flabbergasted that these organizations have all turned their back on us. And here's the thing, friends. Here's the thing. We need to rebuild. It's time to build. We need to build from the ground up. I did see another Lesbian Herstories Instagram that I immediately followed. Unfortunately, their comments are off, which most likely is because they're being called TERF and bigots because they're exclusionary to the female homosexual, which we should be exclusionary. But the bottom line is Lesbian Herstories is like all of the other organizations that continue to tell us to kiss their ass. Every time they tell us who they are, we need to start listening. Elders, it's time to move. It's time to move. We need to get ground zero. It's time to move. We're sitting by idly doing what exactly? What are we doing? What is we doing? Elders, what are we doing? Are we marching? We're doing campaigns. Right now, I'd like for us to focus on the campaign for the Lesbian Herstories campaign. I'd like to put some pressure on their neck a little bit on why it is that they've abandoned the lesbians. They let all these horrific homophobic comments, but the minute I spoke out, the minute I said something, it was it. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you remember to also hit that notification bell every time. And remember, guys, silence ends here.